Very good. I want you to save those thoughts for the video that I'm about to play. Everybody can see? Yes. All right. And listen, right?
Active and passive voice. To understand active and passive voice, it can be helpful to understand the difference between the subject of a sentence and the agent. The subject of the sentence always comes before the verb. Subject, then verb, then object. For example, Shona cleans the house. The verb is cleans. We know that the subject comes before the verb. Therefore, the subject of this sentence is Shona. The agent is the person or thing that performs the action. We can think of the agent as the actor within a sentence. Can you see who or what is performing the action in this sentence? That's right, Shona. That means that in this sentence, the subject and the agent are the same. When this is the case, active voice is being used. In passive voice, this is not the case. Our original sentence has been rewritten here in passive voice. The house is cleaned by Shona. We know that the subject comes before the verb. The verb in this sentence is cleaned, so the subject of this sentence is the house. Now see if you can find the agent. Remember, the agent is the person or thing that performs the action. That's right, the agent is Shona. In the first sentence, the subject and the agent were the same. In passive voice, the subject and the agent are different. In active voice, the subject of the sentence performs the action. In passive voice, the subject of the sentence receives the action. When we change from active voice to passive voice, the subject becomes the object, and the object becomes the subject. Let's take a look at another example. The birds ate all the seed. The subject of this sentence, the birds, is performing the action. The subject and the agent are the same. That means this sentence is active voice. To change this sentence to passive voice, we switch the subject and the object. All the seed is placed at the beginning of the sentence. It is now the subject. The birds is placed at the end of the sentence in the position of the object. We also need to add the word by. We then use the matching form of the verb to be in combination with the past participle of the verb, which in this case is was eaten. All the seed was eaten by the birds. We know this sentence is written in passive voice because the subject is now receiving the action, rather than performing the action. In passive voice, the focus shifts from the person or thing performing the action to the result of the action. For this reason, the agent is often left out altogether. For example, we could write, all the seed was eaten. In everyday writing and speech, active voice is more common than passive voice. But passive voice is important. Let's have a look at when passive voice is used. When the performer of the action is unknown or unimportant. For example, the bridge was built in the 1700s. We can see the subject, the bridge, is receiving the action. Therefore, this sentence is written in passive voice. The sentence has no object. Who built the bridge is not important in this sentence, or perhaps who built the bridge is not known. We often use passive voice when the performer of the action is obvious. Here's an example. Toby was promoted last week. Toby, the subject of the sentence, is receiving the action. Who performed the action, promoting him, is not stated because it's obvious it was his boss. We choose passive voice when the result of the action is more important than who or what caused the action. An example. Hundreds of people have had their homes destroyed by the storm. Passive voice focuses on the result of the action. Passive voice can be used when we want to be more polite. As an example, "We haven't been served" is more polite than "You haven't served us."
So based on the video that you just looked at, do you have a better idea of what this active voice is? What's that word? Let us know. So we have our subject first, then our verb, then we have our object. So in active voice, like you said, you hear action or you hear something being done, right? So the subject in this case would be the doer of the action. The object in this case here would be the receiver of the same action that is actually being done. So let's say, for example, how much work? You stand outside. And I did this. Catch. What did I do? I threw the chalk. So how would you put that in a sentence? Tell me again. Thank you. So it would be Miss Casey threw, it happened, the chalk at Okay, so Miss Casey here, subject, through, verb, object, mortuary. So we catch that, right? We catch that. So Miss Casey is doing something and mortuary object is receiving action. Right? So I threw the chalk at mortuary did the job. So since we have an understanding, we will now come up with a definition, which you'll take notes of course, right? So I'm going to write a definition on the board and you're going to take the notes with me very quickly. You understand that? Something sick? Alright. So I'm going to put the definition here for the active voice. you're going to do for me before you tell me whether it's passive or active, I want you to identify for me the subject in the sentence, verb in the sentence, object in the sentence, and tell me if the subject is the doer or the receiver. Alright, I want you to speak up for me. The subject is cat. What else? Verb is cheese. And the object is the mouse. Okay, so to know directly if the sentence is active or passive, who has to be doing the action for it to be active? The cat has to be doing the action. So, alright, here, the cat has to be doing the action. Why is the cat doing the action for it to be active? Yes, and the cat is, she said it. The cat is what? Chandini? The cat is what? Thank you. The cat is the subject. And so the subject has to be doing the action for an object to receive this action in order for it to be? In order for it to be? Active. Good. So this is an active voice. Think you understand? Yes. Yeah, sure. Yes. So finish copying for me, please, and then I have some exercises for you to do. The mouse is chased by the cat. I want you to identify subject, verb, object, and then tell me whether the subject is the doer or the receiver of the action.
The mouse is the subject and it's the receiver.
Verb. So the subject is the receiver?
Yes.
Alright. So if the subject is not the receiver, would you say this is active or passive?
Passive.
Good. Passive. And you know why we use this, right?
Yes.
We're all finished copying?
Yes.
Alright, two more persons. So for the persons who are finished, you have, you're doing the first exercise. In the first exercise, it says that you're to select the appropriate voice, whether it's active or passive for each sentence. baked by my sister. Now, would this sentence then be active or passive? Good, passive, right? Good, so you can do the others by yourselves, please. Do it right on the paper. Yes, you're writing active or passive, and this is the black space. Just how you fixed it just now, fix it like that. Understand? Alright. Easy? Why? You don't understand that? Huh? Why don't you understand? Just stop reading. Don't do the bottom. Only the first exercise. Subject, verb, object. Good. Who is doing the action? Is it active or passive? Very good. Can you understand? You understand too? Leon, you are talking. You understand? Does this make sense grammatically? Don't change it. Does it make sense grammatically? I'm sorry, right? To you? So let me read what you have. We came bake like my sister for my birthday. Was that sound correct? Does it sound like it's missing anything? Huh? No? Huh? What? What is it missing? That it was, late. Fix it. So while you're filling in the blank, your sentences, they must be grammatically correct. Because you're going to notice that while we're given the verb, it is just a base of the verb. Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Yes, right here. Because the subject, like I said before, that's why I asked if you understood, the subject is doing. Right? So when I drew the chalk to actuary, I was the subject. Miss drew the chalk at or to actuary, whichever you want to see. Miss drew the chalk to actuary. I, the subject, is Miss. I did the throwing of the chalk. Right? And actuary received that action. She received the chalk. And so because I was doing the thing, the subject was doing it, then we know that it is active, which we can say action is happening or action is being done by the subject of the sentence. But if I change that, right, and I said the chalk was thrown by Miss. The chalk then becomes the subject of the sentence. chalk is then receiving the action because the chalk is the one being thrown. But the chalk is still the subject, but it's receiving this throwing that I'm giving it. And therefore it's then passive. Because the chalk is not doing anything. Right? So let's say, let's use this little thing here. This chair, right? And I push the chair. I did something, right? Good. I pushed the chair. So you can say, Miss, push the chair. Miss did something, right? And therefore, the sentence then is in its active voice. Because the subject, me, did something. So that chair is there. It's not moving. And you were to recall, okay, this is what happened. The chair was pushed by Miss. Is the chair still being pushed? And are we talking about Miss or are we talking about the chair? So the chair is the subject, right? The chair is not doing any pushing. Rather, the chair received that action of being pushed. And I know who did the pushing. Who did the pushing? Good. So the chair was pushed by Miss. Now it's passive. Because the chair didn't do anything, the chair just received this push. You think you understand better? So remember now, if you label the sentence, even if you don't label it like this, but you have a mental label, always look to see whether the subject is doing or if the subject is receiving. If the subject is receiving, it's passive. If the subject is doing, it's active. Right? So when you read the sentences, you want to bear that in mind. Why you write passive and active here? You have to put it at the end. You cannot put it there, sweetheart. If I were to read this sentence, it makes no sense to take passive by my sister. God don't laugh. You can't do that, right? Everybody's finished now? How many persons are still working? This is just 5, right? Alright. I'll give you guys 2 more minutes. Is that enough? It should be. Right? Yes. Yes. Vacation brings like archaeologists for years. passive, that's right. That's right. This is correct. Now look at your verbs. They are correct. Now look at your verbs, right? So let's go through this quickly. Follow along in your paper, you understand? Alright. Follow in your paper. With your paper. Follow with your paper. So we have first, we answered the first one. The cake was baked by my sister. And we said that one is? Good. The detective blanked the mystery. The detective solved the mystery. Solved or solves the mystery. If you have either your present or past tense, what? And is it active or passive? Good. The ancient ruins were studied by archaeologists for years. Active or passive? The company developed a new marketing strategy. Active or passive? The music performed by the company developed a new marketing strategy. Would that be active or passive? Active. Alright. What do you have? That's what I told you to label, right? So, the music performed by the orchestra. Right? I can't pronounce this word, but I know what it is. Right? It's the orchestra. Orchestra. Yes. The music performed by the orchestra was mesmerizing. I still feel like I'm saying that word incorrectly because that's not being it. But I cannot pronounce that word. Exactly, and Ashwar is making a very valid point. It's easy to know when it's passive because this is inside of it. By. Right? Good. See? Good. So, everybody finished? Alright. So, before we conclude the lesson, and I mark, let's do a quick recap. In your own words, what would you say, or what do you think active voice is? And I'll give you a moment to think. What would you say? Let's say you have some students are absent today, right? You're not here, so they miss this lesson and you go tomorrow. I may not get to teach. Yes, I may not get to teach you. I have to teach English B. So these students are here tomorrow and someone let's teach. And you have to active and passive voice. Wisdom. How would you tell them what an active voice is? And that's the low, right? No ash, let me speak and then I'll listen to you, right? Just a moment and then. That's all. But that's a typical sentence possess a subject, verb, and object. Yes, the sentence will have all sentences. They have the subject, verb, object combination. But what makes active voice special? And listening. And what is at the end?
Miss the object will be the door and the subject will be the
Words. Words, I'm looking for keywords, right? Object, subject, door, receiver. Thank you, right? So on your paper, you have to the bottom your homework. Homework will be submitted obviously for our next class. So the instruction